I'm Emily.
Vicky.
Alan.
Earl.
Alright, so we'll begin by watching this video.
Dr. Hands. Dr. Hands. Oh, that's fantastic.
Alright, so in this video you can see a few things. You can see a baby clapping their hands, moving around like any normal baby would. The only difference is that it's inside a mother's womb at this point. And that baby is doing a few things. It's bringing joy to their family, it's bringing laughter to their family, and it hasn't even been born yet. Now, if you were to take that baby and write how it is and bring it outside the womb and kill it, you would call someone crazy. They'd be a murderer, they would go to jail for probably life. But yet that's what's happening every day. Every day, babies such as that are being aborted and are being murdered for no reason. And in this speech, I will discuss why abortion should be illegal, and the reason are because it's not constitutional, it minimizes the value of life, and because fetuses do in fact feel pain. First, we'll look at the fact that abortion does not follow constitutional guidelines. In the court case of Roe v. Wade in 1973, the Supreme Court declared that abortion was constitutional. And the reason for this was that it was protected under the Fourth Amendment. Now, the Fourth Amendment protects citizens of the United States from unreasonable searches and seizures. And how the court correlated that with an abortion being legal, I have no clue, but that's what happened. The Declaration of Independence states that all Americans have rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Now, I want y'all to think about that first point I made, life. It states that all people are deserving of life, and all Americans have the right to life. Now, let's put that aside for a minute and look at this. Fetal homicide laws. If a pregnant mother is killed in a car crash or if she is murdered, the murderer is charged with double homicide. They're charged with the murder of not only the mother, but the baby as well. Now, one would assume, because of that the government and the legal system considers a baby unborn a life. But Roe v. Wade clearly does not say that. It's confusing and it's very hypocritical. And while I see this stretch that the Supreme Court might have made with the Fourth Amendment, it's just too far of a stretch, and it's too far of a stretch to justify the killing of babies. Since we've determined an unborn baby should be viewed as a human with rights, let's discuss how abortion is affecting overall value of human life. The second reason it should be illegal is because it minimizes the value of human life. Now, in our society, it's a big focal point to fight for rights. Women are constantly fighting for equal pay and have the same rights as men. People who cross border illegally are fighting for rights. And just in so many situations such as these, people are always fighting for rights. My question to you guys is, what about the rights of the baby? Why don't they get any rights? And instead of fighting for their rights, people are even using abortion as a form of birth control and choosing this option when they just don't feel like having a baby. Now, according to the National Abortion Federation, 50% of all abortions occur due to typical birth control being ineffective. And what does this statistic tell us? It tells us that women are choosing to have an abortion because it's an inconvenience for them at the time. For whatever reason, they feel like, oh, I don't want to be pregnant right now. So they are choosing to do that. Now, one side could say, well, what about married couples who get pregnant and aren't financially stable to have a baby? Now, while I can maybe see the side of it, 83% of women who have abortions are not married. And this stat is even more horrifying because a lack of responsibility and having sex outside of marriage is creating these pregnancies where mothers just aren't ready to have them. And instead of them accepting their consequences, the babies are the one paying for them by having to be murdered. Taking it a step further to devaluing human life, some people who support abortion claim that the baby is just a lump of cells and does not even feel pain at all. So for our final point, we'll talk about that abortion should be illegal because the fetus does feel pain. If you, in the state of Florida, if you were to inflict pain on, let's say, an animal, you could face up to 10 years in jail. 10 years in jail for hurting an animal. And while I agree with that, when you look at what people are doing to babies who are inside a womb, it just doesn't make sense. Yet when a doctor can inflict pain on a breathing, moving baby that has a heartbeat, and yet there's no consequences. It's even encouraged. And if you look around at what's going on in society, abortion is being encouraged. And a common argument is that a baby is just merely a lump of cells and does not feel pain. According to Dr. Maureen Kondik, a professor of neurobiology and anatomy at the University of Utah, she stated, the earliest rudiment of the human nervous system forms by 28 days. She also stated, at 20 weeks, the fetus responds just as humans by withdrawing from the painful stimulus. Now, what does this quote tell us? It tells us that at 4 weeks, the beginning process of the nervous system is forming. The nervous system is what allows things to feel pain. At 20 weeks, that fetus is going to respond to pain just like we would. They were going to move away from the painful stimulus. And despite people assuming that babies just don't feel pain, that is just not the case. And based on those two things, science clearly tells us that whenever abortion is performed, not only are you murdering an innocent baby, you're inflicting pain on them, unwanted pain. One can see where obviously it can be seen that babies feel pain during abortion and something must be done. As we've discussed, abortion should be made illegal because it's unconstitutional, it minimizes the value of human life, and fetuses do in fact feel pain. From questionable viewpoints to fetus not being viewed as a life, to abortions being used as birth control, there's an issue with this process. You have to ask yourself if you're okay with millions of babies being murdered every year, and what side of history do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side that fights for unborn babies to have rights, or you want to be a part of the side of history of the mass genocide of babies? The choice is up to you.